more international tourists go to the East Africa and to the South African region than they go to the West African region when it comes to safari holiday. Why is that? This is what I want to discuss in this video. To do some analysis, I took some samples. So Ivory Coast and Nigeria from West Africa, and I have Kenya, Tanzania from East Africa, and from South Africa I have Zambia and South Africa. When it comes to safari holiday, national parks are really very important. When you look at this chart here, so this is Nigeria here, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, and Zambia, and these are kind of like the region, so West Africa, East Africa, and South Africa. So when you look at this chart here, what you can see straight here is that you can see the number of national parks, and for Nigeria it's just 8, and also from Ivory Coast as well, which are West African country. They are just, the number of national park they have is really very small when you compare that to Kenya, which has the most really. So they have 24 national parks, and that is really a lot when you compare that to 8. And then you have Tanzania as well, so which also has 22. So you see, that is really a lot. And then you go to South Africa, you have 21, and then you go to Zambia, you have 20. And when we're talking about safari holiday, they tend to happen in protected areas. So you have the East Africa, they do have a lot more protected areas than West Africa, and then of course South Africa, they do have a lot as well, so which is really a very important factor in terms of why the East and South Africa, why they are more popular. This just means that the East and South Africa, they take conservation more seriously than the West African region. Other factor that I really want to discuss quickly as well is the advertisement. So I think the East and South African country, they promote their safari holiday more than the West Africa. I think this West African region, I don't think they do enough job to promote, because it doesn't matter how good anything is, if you don't advertise it, if you don't talk about it to other people, potential people that will come and say it, then they would not come and say it. So the West African region need to do a bit more work on promotion and branding and advertisement. Another thing also is experience. I think the Eastern South Africa, they have more experiences. So what do I mean by experience? A very good example is the wide based migration that happened in Masai Mara in Kenya and Tanzania, where millions of animals, they move across and migrate, and that really is a big part of the holiday experience, safari holiday experience in Kenya and Tanzania. And South Africa also have really one of the best national parks in Africa for safari holiday, the Kruger Park. So, and that really have a big part to play as well. And the quality of accommodation as well, based on some of the information I've seen around, I think the quality of accommodation in Kenya, Tanzania, or let's say the East African region, and South Africa, the quality of accommodation and the infrastructures even around safari holiday, the luxury lodges and all of that. So I think all of those also have a very important part to play why international tourists, they tend to choose the East and South Africa for safari holiday. Another factor to look at is land area. I mean, this is not really a big factor, but it's something to look at as well. So again, you have Nigeria there, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Zambia. So these are based on the region. So you have the land area. You can see it straight here that South Africa definitely have massive land area, about 1.2 million kilometers square, so which the closest. And then you have Zambia, Tanzania, Nigeria, so which are in the region of 900 kilometer square, and then you have Kenya. Something that is not on this chart here that I really want you to take note of is the percentage of their land that they have committed to conservation in terms of protected for wildlife. So for Nigeria, so which is really actually very low, so you have about 3%, so which is really very low. That is what they commit for, conservation and wildlife. And then you have Ivory Coast, so which is about 6%, and so that's what they have for conservation. And then you have Kenya. Kenya is about 8%. That's not a lot as well, but it's still higher than Nigeria and Ivory Coast, which are in the West Africa. So you have Kenya, which is East Africa, and then you have Tanzania, a massive 30% of their land is committed to conservation and wildlife. And then you have South Africa. They only commit about 9%. So that's what they have for conservation. That's like the percentage of their land that is national parks and protected areas. And then you have Zambia is massive as well. Zambia also have about 30% of their land area, total land area. Don't forget that the chart itself is mainly about the total land area of each of these countries, but I just put this percentage, which is the percentage of their total land area that is protected for conservation and wildlife. And something that you will notice straight away as well is that the East Africa and South Africa, they have larger percentage of their land that is protected. So for example, Zambia 30% in South Africa, and Tanzania 30% in East Africa. Even though South Africa is a country, and Kenya, they are really very low as well, but at the same time they still have a lot of because they just have massive land as well. And also they are still lower. Even Kenya, that is the lowest, is still lower, still higher than Ivory Coast and Nigeria in West Africa. I think that might also play a part in why safari holiday is more popular and more international tourists go there than to the West Africa area. I chose a couple of samples from each of those regions, but obviously there are a lot more country, and you can watch this video next. Have you been on safari holiday before in Africa? Please leave a comment and share your experience.